All right. Looks like we're good. All right. Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome to this Thursday episode of Crypto with Chris. I finally made it on a Thursday after 3 weeks of trying or missing or forgetting or whatever, but I'm here. And there's lots to talk about. There's been lots of crazy stuff happening over the week, as you probably know, if you're involved in what's going on. So let's just kind of dig into it. First, I want to start with the dollar index and the liquidity, the G5 net liquidity here, because that's really the big story of everything. The Fed came out on a couple days ago or yesterday rather, and basically announced that he was pausing rate hikes, weren't going to raise anything anymore, and that likely there would be up to 3 rate decreases in the coming year. And so that kind of just, sent the market in a frenzy. Basically, it was risk on big time after that. Everything went nuts. As you can see, the dollar index has just been tanking since then, set a new lower low, and meanwhile liquidity has been pumping at the same time. And this pretty much just sets the stage for everything else. I know even stocks have been ripping. The Dow set like a new all-time high earlier today. So it's not just crypto, it's everything. Everything is running right now, and we're seeing it. I mean, everything is way up. And so I've been actually capitalizing on that by kind of going a lot further out the risk curve, maybe, than sometimes I anticipate I would. And I'm pretty deep into some pretty fun degen plays right now that are all doing really, really well. And that's, I'm capitalizing on this risk on environment to just, leverage that and run with it. But let's start with Bitcoin and kind of see where we're at. I know on Monday when I talked about it, I was thinking, this would end up kind of something a little bit more like we were seeing here. Let me kind of zoom in here a little bit. So looking at these other candles, that we had a few weeks ago, I was kind of thinking we'd have something along those lines, and we're not quite there yet, but certainly we're much closer to that, and we're well on its way. And we've still got, 3 more days before this weekly candle closes. So, good things are happening. And now I won't be surprised at all to see this be a green candle. As much as I think we could maybe use a red candle, even slightly red, I think, we'll probably end up green in light of what we've had happen thus far. I mean, if you just look at this watch list, I've got some of this stuff is up crazy, like 19%, 70%, 37% here. Things are just going nuts. So yeah, Bitcoin, I think it's going to end up green. Whatever. I'd like to see it come down a little bit, but that's where we're at. If we look at it on the daily now, so we had a couple of, where were we on Monday? So Monday we were down here. We were touching this 20-day moving average. And then we've had 3 green days since then. We did come back down and touch it again, almost a perfect touch, actually got a tick below it. But then, this was kind of the day that of the Fed announcement. And so it came down, it was red for a minute, and then it just launched back up. And basically now we're right back up almost to the 10-day moving average. And the cycle, in terms of the cycle timing, it's still a little bit mucky. We don't really have a clear end of the cycle sort of defined yet. If we look at this, I still have a 55-day high, and we're on day 60. What is it? 64 now. But it's still muddy, and we're probably not really going to know how this resolves for some weeks until after quite a bit has happened, and we can kind of look back on hindsight and go, okay, well, maybe this was the cycle low. Sometimes cycles aren't very clear. Sometimes they're super clear, and sometimes it's very muddy, and you don't know until well in hindsight sort of what it actually was. So I'm not gonna, I'm not set on this date. It could be whatever. We could still set a new high tomorrow or today, even for that matter. So I'm just going to kind of let this play out. I'm not really hinging on this or basing any decisions on this or anything like that. It's more just kind of just tracking for the sake of tracking. But right now, this doesn't mean anything to me other than just it's muddy. But looking at this, this looks really healthy. I mean, it's still, sharp uptrend. Everything is good. We're almost right back up to this cluster where we were. And we've had this nice, mean reversion, in the meantime. So I like this. I think all of this still looks really good. Did I have? No. What was this chart? Oh, no, never mind. So I like what I'm seeing. I mean, Bitcoin's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's kind of going up. And I think my thesis of, I think it's still going to continue to go up until we get up into this we're sort of going up into this range here where we're going to run up against the top of this resistance level, and we're going to run up against this ETF deadline, and somewhere, we'll be up in this range, up in here somewhere. So I don't really see us setting a new major high above this. I don't really see us blowing much through this before we get to this line. So just kind of meandering up into this corner is basically what I'm looking at. And that's still good. I mean, that still puts us up at, upwards of 48,000, possibly even. So that's kind of what I'm looking at as far as Bitcoin goes. Moving to Solana, it's kind of the same thing. Solana came down, touched the 20-day, is bouncing back up. It looks better because it's now closing above the 10-day, whereas Bitcoin wasn't even quite doing that yet. So Solana has even more strength. Solana's up, 3% on the day versus Bitcoin only up, 0.3%. So, yeah, this is reflected in the chart here. Basically, Solana still, I think, is the much better beta play to both ETH and Bitcoin right now. It's sort of the third big major, I feel like, that is going to outpace both of those other two, and it has all the momentum right now. It has all the activity. It has all the buzz. This is the place to be, and I've been really enjoying participating and interacting in the Solana space in this ecosystem, and using the dexes and trading on there, and it's just a lovely place to be right now. So, hey Penny, sorry, you can rewind it. You can rewind it and go back to the beginning that way. So yeah. Anyway. Yeah, Solana looks great. Tau actually is booming also, which Tau is up, 18% on the day, set a new all-time high. This has been a great one to be in. I've been in it almost the whole year, actually going back to January. So some of my initial buys are up over 10x at this point, which is really cool. But yeah, I mean, just this one has all the strength. It came down, touched the 20-day too a couple of times. Even today, basically touched it, and it just rocketed north. So this is great to see. Basically, all these charts look amazing right now. Everything is bullish, some just less than others, but everything is doing really, really well. Loving seeing all these new all-time highs being set, especially on stuff that I'm holding. So this is great. And I don't really, in terms of like downside or threats to this, I don't know. I think the momentum right now is just so hard right now going into the end of this year that unless some kind of unforeseen crazy event happens, like even that the Ledger sort of hack that happened earlier today wasn't really enough to throw anything off. I mean, everything just kind of dipped for a second, and I don't even know if that was a catalyst. Actually, there was a bit of a dip this morning, whether that was it or not. But everything is just screaming now. And then if we look, this one maybe less so, but this is a much smaller market cap one. I'm going to skip that. Bonk is really interesting. So Bonk is kind of the Solana, dog coin play right now. And it just went live on Coinbase today. And as you can see, it's up 41% at the moment. And, this is another one that I've been playing since like I said, I think on Monday, I missed the initial leg, but I did buy at around this level here. And obviously, I'm crushing it now. And I went in pretty big on it because Solana's the play. The dog coins are the play at the moment. It's stupid, I know. Obviously, it's not my biggest position, but as I would never do that. I do have actually pretty decent sized positions in Solana and Bitcoin and Ethereum. I'm not like crazy off the rails, but also, I've got decent sized positions in stuff like Bonk and stuff like Zero Knowledge, and I have one of my biggest positions is in BitTensor, although that one, there's a good reason why, and this one's stable and they're executing, and there's good stuff happening here. But Bonk is just, this is a total degen meme coin, which it's funny. I never got into the Doge play. I never got into the Shiba play. I really just tried to avoid all that. Last cycle, I thought it was all nonsense and totally stupid. And obviously, I missed out on a huge amount of money by not doing it, but I just couldn't wrap my head around it. Like I was like way like mid curving it. I was just like, I can't form like a thesis around this. I can't, to me, it was just like pulling a handle on a slot machine, and I just couldn't do that. I couldn't get myself to do that. So I just ignored it. But this time around, I mean, obviously, again, I didn't go all in. This is a smaller size bag, but I figured, what the hell, why not? And so far so good. And I'm pretty much, I think, closer to the end of the year, as we get closer to the ETF deadline, I'll probably look to lighten this. And I think obviously Bitcoin is going to run at that point, assuming that it gets approved. If it gets delayed, then, everything's going to go down. I think everything's going to probably go down whether it gets approved or not, after the deadline, because the whole space is just going to kind of breathe this sort of collective sigh of relief. Like, okay, finally we can take our foot off the gas for a minute and we can kind of relax. And so I think we're going to see a lot of people taking profit around that time. Again, whether the ETF gets approved or not, I think just that deadline is sort of going to be the catalyst. And right now it's sort of artificially propping up the market because we're already sort of way overextended. We're already well into a 60-day cycle without really even looking down yet. And again, it's all kind of hinging on that ETF deadline. And I think that there's no reason why that won't continue because everybody just wants to be in position like for that event. So that's what's going on. And that's, as I've been saying for months now, that's what's driving the boat. And it still is. This was another one that I got into the other day, fairly recently, kind of down here. I saw this sort of consolidate a little bit and I thought it looked good. And, so far so good on this one too. I was kind of kicking myself for getting out of Injective, which I did. And it's been taunting me. Like if we look at the Injective chart, it's just been taunting me this whole time ever since. And I got out of it around here because it just was doing nothing. And it's just, laughing at me the whole way and setting new all-time highs, days in a row now. But this is an Injective ecosystem play, and I did get into it, so at least I can feel kind of good about that. And actually, I got into it with about the same size position as I had as an Injective, and it's up a fair bit more than Injective is today. So so far so good on that play. I'm happy with that. And another one of these that I'll probably look to only hold, really until the end of the month, until around the ETF deadline. And then I'm going to want to basically consolidate a lot of these smaller positions I have into Solana and or Bitcoin, and just kind of be ready to, be more tactical with my plays with just kind of one or two big positions or something like that, instead of having to, sell a whole bunch. It sucks. What ends up happening is if you get yourself spread too thin and you find yourself holding like 8 or 9 or 10 or 20 different things, and a major market event happens, you're going to be sitting there for 4 hours messing with this stuff, trying to sell out and get out of your positions. And by that point, you've just lost everything. And, obviously you can't know when that's going to happen every time. But if you do see something like this, where we do have this big specific event coming and it is kind of easy to sort of foreshadow a sell-off, it's sort of stupid to be so spread out where you've got 20 different things that you have to be managing. Like just get into a handful of core positions and, let the dust settle, and then, you can spread back out at that point. But what else? Actually, yeah, I mean, all these are kind of the same. I did get in a couple of other. I wanted to touch on AVAX because that's one that I've been kind of ignoring. I was heavy into AVAX last cycle, and it is a really lovely place to be. I like using the AVAX ecosystem, but I just had kind of been ignoring it because it wasn't really doing anything for most of the year, and it kind of launched much later than a lot of these projects did. But it's done really, really well, I think, in the last month, especially, starting from November here. It's just gone hard. So and it looks just like the rest of them. It's actually more overextended, I think, than a lot of the bigger ones like Solana. It's still well above the 10-day, hasn't even really come down to touch it during any of this time when a lot of these were coming down and bouncing even off the 20-day. So AVAX actually looks like a really, really good play right now. And its chart looks stronger than most. And you can see volume is continuing to run up, I think, on a lot of these. So I like that. I did want to touch on, I got a couple other charts. They're not in TradingView here, but couple other sort of degen plays that I've been messing around with. This one, Shadow, was one of these. Another one, we saw a lot of these consolidate, like we were seeing, and then just kind of run up. And this was another one that I thought looked good. And so far so good on that. I bought, I think around 80 cents, and it's up to $1.24 now. And then Guac is another one. So Guac is another kind of a meme coin, although it has actually some unique utility, and they're actually really doing quite a bit of cool stuff with Guac. And I got lucky on Guac. I actually bought way down. I don't remember where I bought initially, but it did like a 5x for me at one point. And so I was pretty stoked with that. But I actually sold out of Guac just because it was kind of lagging compared to everything else. And so I kind of dumped my Guac position and put it into Bonk, which in fact, last night, right before it went live on Coinbase. So that turned out to be a really smart play because, Guac is down 7% on the day and Bonk is up about 40% on the day. So that money, went to good use. But I am looking at getting back into this. I do think that this is going to run again. I think it just needs to kind of reset a bit. I'd really like to see it come down and touch this 20-day and kind of just, do a technical mean reversion and then look for it to bounce from there. But this is another one that I'm paying close attention to as well. And then sort of lastly, let's see. I wanted to talk about dominance again, because one thing I'm seeing is this alt dominance has continued to just kind of keep ticking up to the upside. And I'll look at the candle chart in a second too, but I wanted to I like the way this chart just renders it. It just makes it really clear to see. ETH is still just meh, but Bitcoin has leveled off and Bitcoin is really just going sideways in terms of dominance, and alt dominance is really, pushing upwards still. So I think alts are in control. I think it's still very much alt season right now. I know we got the ETF and the Bitcoin play coming along, and that has its own thing, but this is where the action is right now, right here. And so let's take a look at the others candle chart. We actually it looks like we set a new yearly high. It's back down under it, but if you zoom it, this line here was at the top of this wick, and it had punched up above it briefly back here, but then it had been kind of bouncing, and it punched up above it even higher this time around today, but it's come back down below it. So I'd really like to see this close above this line. That's going to kind of, set us on our way and have, I'd like to see a big breakout from there, but this is all really, really good. I kind of talked about this on Monday, I know, of, coming up into this rising wedge too. And pretty soon, I still really believe that this bottom line is going to hold over this top line, and it's going to break out to the upside. I just don't see it going any other way. Yes, I know once the ETF launches and that does get approval, sure, Bitcoin is going to go on a big tear, and we're probably going to see a big red candle here on this chart, because this where Bitcoin, Bitcoin's in the middle. Bitcoin's going to have a big green candle probably for a week, and this alt chart is probably going to have a big red candle for a week. But I still think that in the larger sense, the alts are much more sort of in control right now. And we'll see, money coming in obviously from the ETFs, but I still think that's just going to kind of drive sentiment and drive, people into the crypto space. I think a lot of people that are sitting on the sidelines that have been involved in crypto in the past, they're going to see Bitcoin going on this big tear because of this ETF. And yeah, all that money is going to be coming from TradFi because it's all coming through, the traditional equities markets. But and that money actually doesn't have like a direct mechanism into the alt space. It's not like people that are buying, the Bitcoin ETF for their retirement portfolio are suddenly going to go and be buying Bonk or Doge or Solana or any of that stuff. There's no direct connection there. But what it will do is the people that have been sitting on the sidelines this whole time that maybe were in crypto in the past, or maybe even weren't, they're going to see Bitcoin going up, and they're going to see the rest of crypto going up, and they're going to want to get in more directly because they already know how that works. That maybe they've got the Coinbase app installed, and they're going to be jumping back in. And so I think that's where that money is going to come from. That's going to push these alts higher, and we're already seeing it with again stupid stuff like Bonk. So that's what I think is going to play out here. And again, I'm expecting a big red candle followed by, much more green. And I think we'll probably close above this line before that even happens. Maybe even this week, if not next week, because that red candle is not going to come for 2 or 3 more here. So yeah, I think that alts are the place to be. And I don't know, is that it? That might be it. That might be it for today. I don't know. What else do we got? I've been kind of looking at some rando charts. I've been really down on Filecoin. I just know of some people that are in Filecoin, and I just want to point out that, all this stuff is up, all this amount today, green, green, green across the board, and Filecoin is down, 5.8%. So that pretty much says all you need to know about that. I think until this band presumes to the upside against Bitcoin, don't touch that. And then the other one I wanted to look at was Pocket. What's Pocket doing? So Pocket's up okay today. I mean, it's decent, 6.8, but what is it against Solana? Okay, this is really good to point out. Okay, so you think, okay, yeah, I'm in Pocket. Pocket's up 6.8. That's respectable. I can live with that. But if you look at it, it's still down almost 10% on the week against Solana. I mean, it's probably up on the day. It's up 3.5% on the day against Solana. So you're not really doing that great, in the end, holding this. So, and really it's just kind of sitting right at the bull market support band against Solana. So just be careful with this one. It needs more buzz than it actually has to, I think, punch up to new levels. So, yeah, that's my thought on that. I think that's it for today. I guess kind of a shorter episode. Oh, you want me to look at Uni? Okay, hold on. I see your comment. Let's see what we got for Uni. Let me change this around. I haven't actually pulled up my Uni chart in a minute here, so I want to change this to BTC. I'm going to change this to Coinbase. And oh yeah, okay, hold on. My Uni chart's not ready for prime time yet. Let me get rid of some of these indicators and add some of this new stuff that I'm into. So I'll use this as a good excuse to kind of review the indicators I'm big on right now. So I use the Bollinger Band and basically the 10-day moving average or 10-bar moving average. And then I've got these Scipio Pro indicators that I like that talk about momentum divergences and then the bull market support band. And that's kind of my core set right now. So yeah. Okay. Yeah, Uni doesn't look actually that great. Even just USD pair. I mean, it's not in an uptrend on the weekly, which is not awesome. I mean, and you'll see, okay, this is actually big. And I'll look at the Bitcoin pair in a second too. So even on the USD pair, you're kind of losing money in Uni right now. So this band with this cloud in the middle, this bull market support band, pretty much everything else that I'm in right now is trading well above this band and using this band as support. And basically this band is also pointing in an upward direction. And you can see with Uniswap, it's pointing in a downward direction. It's in a higher time frame downtrend. It's bouncing off this band and back down to the downside and continuing to form new lows. And this is just on the USD pair. I'm sure on the Bitcoin pair, it's probably even worse. Let me just pull up that support band. Yeah, I mean, so, and actually, this is another thing I like to do with these is put like array on the yearly open against Bitcoin. So like, this is basically where it opened against Bitcoin on the year. And right now it's, oops. It's down 53% against Bitcoin on the year. So sitting in Uni for a long time, not a great hold. I like Uni as a project. I think it's great. I use it. Whenever I use the Ethereum ecosystem, I actually use Uniswap quite a bit, and I do prefer it. But in terms of an investment, it is bad right now. It's not even outpacing sort of the class benchmark in Bitcoin. So you'd be a lot better off just sitting in Bitcoin than holding Uniswap right now, by quite a bit, in fact. So, yeah, so there's your Uni. And then synthetics. Let's see. We got synthetics. I think I have a synthetics chart too, but I don't think I've looked at it for a minute either. Just synthetics doesn't look as bad, just kind of at first glance. It's kind of it's lagging. I'll say that, but it does look like it has bottomed, and it does look like it has reversed on the higher time frame. So that's a good sign, but it is kind of lagging a bit. Let's look at it on the daily. I mean, that's a decent run. What do we got there? Oops. Yeah, I mean, that's solid. That's respectable. The synthetics is one that I would, feel okay holding right now. I do it. I mean, it's not one I'm holding, but I do like it in terms of its USD pair. It's still, holding well. It hasn't even really come down and touched the 20-day moving average yet either. It is above the bull market support band by quite a bit. I'm betting too. It's probably a good bit above Bitcoin as well. Although maybe not as much. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's fine. Synthetics is good. It's a decent hold. Like, that's a respectable bag to be holding, I would say. I mean, I think, if I was branching out, I could see myself holding something like this. I think this is a good looking chart. I wouldn't feel bad about this at all. Like, this is solid. I would stay in this. In fact, it's solid until you start seeing it breaking down and closing below this 20-day moving average, and these averages starting to kind of roll over. Then you're going to look for this support band as its next major support, but it really doesn't look like that's happening anytime soon. I mean, it's setting new, I don't know how far back this goes, but it's setting new, local highs anyway, which is solid. So yeah, fair play to synthetics. Good spot there. So, yeah, I don't know I guess if that's it, unless you guys have anything else, I'm happy to look at anything else, but, otherwise, I mean, really, otherwise what we're seeing is kind of across the board, most things are doing well. And, and this is what you need to be looking out for. You need to be, if anything that you're holding doesn't look like this, basically isn't well above its bull market support band, isn't well above even, the 20 and the 10-day moving average, then you shouldn't be in it, particularly if it's down against Bitcoin. So yeah, that's kind of your metric. So, got it. Okay. On the synthetics. It seems to be holding up regardless. So, all right. Well, yeah. Oops. I guess if that's it, I'm going to go ahead and cut it for today, but I will be back on Monday. I still think, oh yeah, what do we got here? Yeah, I still think I'm not going to be surprised at all if Bitcoin ends the week with a green candle, and we'll see what things look like on Monday. So have a good weekend, everybody, and I will